Hey, welcome to Vic Knows the Vibes, where every chat is a vibe check. I'm your host Vicky, here to explore life's nuances with you. Are you ready to dive in and vibe together? Today's episode is all about manifestation. Over the years, it seems as though this has really become a polarizing topic. There's the people who truly believe that using visualization techniques, affirmations, and other mental practices can really bring about their desired outcome. Whereas there's other people who just believe that you need to work hard and that's the only way to get what you want. You need to be consistent. You need to be disciplined. You need to be persistent. And those are the true keys to success. So I just wanted to have a bit of discourse about it because I personally believe there are some similarities and overlap between the two. So I want to, of course, first start with the actual definition of manifestation, or what people believe it to be, which is essentially the practice of bringing your desires, goals, dreams into reality by focusing on them. You're believing them to be possible. You're taking actions to make them happen, and you're attributing positive energy to said dreams and goals. There also tends to be a huge fixation on you, yourself. You are in control. External factors don't matter. A lot of times you see these people saying the 3D doesn't matter, you have to elevate higher. Whatever you're seeing in this reality, if you will, is not real. And you need to transcend that and focus on what you actually want and envision what you actually want. I think this is one of the first places where a lot of critics take issue, because you're essentially telling people to forgo their senses, forget about what you're seeing and feeling and experiencing and believe something else. And, I see a lot of people saying, okay, well, I don't have a job, I don't have money, I have a bunch of bills due tomorrow, and you're telling me that's not real, that doesn't matter, just go into it believing your bills will be paid tomorrow. And then, of course, when tomorrow comes and their bills are not actually paid, they feel like they've been scammed, or, it's like, I knew it. I knew this was fake. And then if you try and seek out resources, watch some more videos, read some more books, the self-proclaimed master manifestors may turn around and say, oh, you weren't doing it right. You didn't believe enough. You didn't suspend your reality enough. And the blame falls on no one but yourself. So again, there's very much a centering of you and what you are doing or not doing. While thinking about this episode, I really wanted to take a look at why or how manifestation became so popular. And I realized that it's been around for a very long time, but I think there's been a resurgence of popularity quite recently. I'd say maybe around 2020, which was right when COVID was happening, and it makes sense. There was a lot of uncertainty during that time, and I think people were very fearful. And so they needed something to latch onto, something to pacify them and make them feel as though they could still turn it around. If they lost a loved one, if they lost their job, if they lost their life savings, there was still something seemingly free that they could do to keep themselves afloat. And this was also around the same time when TikTok really started to take off. And so you have this information being spread to the masses rapidly. But even before TikTok, I would say a book that really set the scene for manifesting and positive affirmations was The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. I've read it, and I know millions of other people have read it. And I just remember it taking over. It first came out in 2006, and people could not stop talking about it. The three main rules of The Secret were to ask, believe, and receive. This stays true to the general idea of manifesting, asking for what you want, believing or becoming what you want, and then receiving it. And I think the sheer simplicity of it is what made it so attractive to individuals, both young and old. Even with all this information out there, people sharing their stories and providing evidence, if you will, it still makes me question. Can you really attract what you want just from manifesting and positive thinking? Or does success actually come down to discipline and hard work? Or is it a little bit of both? If you look at big celebrities like Oprah or Jim Carrey, they have been huge supporters of manifestation and how the techniques have brought them so much success. I think a lot of us are familiar with the story shared by Jim Carrey, where he wrote himself a check for $10 million and he carried it with him and he dated it for 10 years in the future. Fast forward, in 10 years, he was able to actually make $10 million from a movie that he did, I think Dumb and Dumber. This is such a feel good manifestation story, but when I heard it, I wasn't automatically like, oh, okay, he was just sitting there and someone gave him $10 million. Sure, that could have happened. Maybe he won the lottery or something, but no, he was still acting. He was still making his connections and networking and putting in that work. Similarly, it also makes me think about the rapper Doechii, who's been having a crazy amazing year. And a lot of people have been pulling up videos of her talking about how she knew from a young age she was going to be successful. When I look at her success now, I don't think, okay, she just sat there and it fell into her lap. No, she got out there, she was making music, she was probably getting a lot of no's until she finally got that yes. And so, did she manifest her success in a way? Perhaps, but you cannot say she did not work hard. So that's why sometimes when I hear these hard work versus manifestation debates, I feel as though people are saying the same thing in different ways. Earlier, I mentioned how manifestation is very you centered. The focus is on your needs, your wants, your abilities, and how to be proactive. And it can kind of be seen as a form of self empowerment because you are positioned to really take control of your own destiny as opposed to waiting for someone else to do it for you, especially during uncertain times. And I do think that's one of the reasons why manifestation is so attractive. You're being presented with this idea that if you think positively and you visualize success, you're going to yield automatic results. And again, living in a world, especially during these times where a lot of things are up in the air and it seems as though you don't have a voice and people are deciding the type of life you have to live, it's comforting to know that you can be proactive and do something seemingly easy and attainable to gain the life that you want. Now, at its core, thinking positively, doing your affirmations, believing in yourself, those are seemingly good things. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. But of course, things can get very skewed very quickly. Because of the rise of social media, we're seeing so many influencers who are promoting their manifestation hacks and how to get what you want literally overnight. They're selling the idea that you don't have to put in any effort at all to achieve the life that you want. And this obviously creates a surge of interest amongst their followers. We see all the success stories and hear about the financial gains, but the hard work component is lost on us a lot of the times. And of course, brands will capitalize on this. And so we're seeing a lot of vision board kits being sold and the crystals and the manifestation journals. And it's just another thing for us to consume. I think if you don't have a balanced perspective, it's really easy to kind of fall into that loop of manifestation, which can lead to a passive approach to your life and to your success. The goal is never to ignore taking actual and actionable steps towards the life that you really want to live. You also never want to minimize a person's experiences or chalk it up to them not being able to manifest properly. Life is not always fair and it's not always easy, and people go through hard times. I like to think of manifestation more so as a set of tools or resources that you can reference whether you're having a good time or bad time. If I'm getting ready for a job that I'm not necessarily fond of, or I'm gearing up to do something that I'm feeling nervous about, saying my positive affirmations is only going to make me feel better. So in that regard, I really see it as something that can be very helpful. However, if I'm facing a tough time, I'd like to believe that my self-concept wouldn't be destroyed because I'm blaming myself for everything and thinking that I conjured this up, if you will. Now I just want to quickly look at the science behind manifestation versus hard work. Some research has actually found that visualization and positive affirmations do indeed have neurological effects. For example, the reticular activating system is a part of the brain that filters information and directs attention towards things that we prioritize. Visualizing and affirming certain goals can actually prime the RAS to recognize opportunities that are related to those goals. However, studies do show that visualization alone is not enough. It's only effective when paired with a realistic plan and actionable steps. Now, looking at some of the science and research behind hard work, we know that it builds resilience, discipline, and creates incremental achievements, which of course can boost confidence and motivation. This ties in with some of the research done by Carol Dweck and the concept of the growth mindset. She touches on the idea of how one can believe that they can improve through effort, which in turn fosters persistence and achievement. Neuroscientists also highlight the importance of deliberate practice. This is purposeful and structured effort that goes beyond visualizing, pushing yourself to master your skills. So essentially, the science is saying that visualization and positive affirmations can work, but they need to be paired with an actionable goal, which makes sense. Aside from science, I'd say another big criticism of manifestation stems from the religious world. Interestingly, some would argue that ancient Stoics practiced visualization as a way to prepare for hardships, but are more so speaking about Christianity and those who center God. Many feel as though it's almost blasphemous to attribute power and control over your life to yourself because they believe that God is the only one who holds that power. So when you're sitting there saying you can create your reality, you can choose your success, you can determine your path, it's as if you're removing God from the forefront. And I can definitely understand that point of view as well. An argument I've seen a lot speaks to the idea that religion and spiritual traditions and manifestations all use visualization and prayer techniques in order to achieve one's goals. I think the main difference here would be, again, who is helping you achieve these goals? Is it yourself or is it God? And really, at the end of the day, only you can answer that based on your belief systems. If you're not really looking for a label, but rather just trying to do better and be better, I'm here to help. In this day and age, there's actually a lot of tools and resources you can use that I find blend the concepts of manifestation and hard work in order to achieve your goals. So for example, if you do like the vision board approach, you can make that vision board, but you can also pair it with an actionable goal sheet. You can set up a realistic timeline and then make sure you're tracking your progress and setting mini goals in order to keep that momentum. You can also try tapping into the power of journaling and positive affirmations. You don't even have to just journal about your affirmations. You can also journal about your daily or weekly goals, and you can also try using any type of habit tracking apps to keep you on track. And these are great ways to stay on top of your mental and physical tasks. I'd also suggest prayer and meditation because these are techniques that can really ground you and allow you to really lean into that stillness and calmness. When it comes to books and movies, there are honestly so many. I mentioned The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. There's also The Alchemist, which I do really love that book. There is also Atomic Habits by James Clear. There's Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. There's also The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. And the list just goes on and on. I think that as long as you're curious, you'll find something that resonates with you. At the end of the day, I know that manifestation and any type of manifesting techniques can really divide people, but I would like to know, is this something you've tried or are willing to try? Does it go against your belief system? Are you doing something instead? I really invite you to take some time just to determine if you are focused solely on your mindset or is it more so your hard work that you devote time and energy to. And lastly, I'll leave you with the takeaway vibe, which is your thoughts matter, but so do your moves. Visualization is powerful, but it's not a substitute for effort. Whether you believe in energy, psychology, God, or pure action, the bridge between desire and reality lies in what you do next. As always, thank you so much for listening. You can find me on socials at Vic Knows the Vibes. And until next time, see ya!